And I'm going to record this, so if you need to go back and look at it tonight, you can access it tonight. All right, so this first one said to graph. Notice I gave you all the forms, okay? So you should be able to see this and go, oh, that looks just like this one, which means it is in slope-intercept form, which means I need a slope and a y-intercept. So here's your slope. Here's your y-intercept. Which of those two things do you plot first? The y-intercept. So you're going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and put a point there. Then you do your slope, and your slope is negative 1/4. So the negative takes you down 1. The 4 always takes you to the right. So your graph should look like that. Which I think I came around and checked most of yours, and they looked pretty good. This one, what form are you in? This is point slope form. So that means you have a point and you have a slope, right? The slope is 1/3. What's the point?
4, -2.
Right, opposite of what it looks like and in the opposite place, right? The x needs to be with the x. So it looks like a -4. That means x is a +4. It looks like a +2. That means your y value is a -2. Which of those things do you plot first? The point, right? You can't start with a slope. Where do you start from? We don't know. So you got to start with the point. So 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right, -2 puts us there. And then you can do your slope, which is up 1 over 3, which puts us here. So that's your line. Okay, so if it's in point slope form, this is supposed to be helpful for you. You have a point and a slope, right? If it's in point slope form, that's the two things you have. Plot those two things. All right, number 3. It says write this in standard form using integers. In other words, not using fractions, right? So we have to get rid of the fraction. The way we get rid of the fraction is we multiply everything by the denominator. So what is our denominator right now?
5.
A 5. So we're going to go 5 times this, 5 times that, and 5 times that. So it's going to be 5 times y. What's 5 times 1/5? 1, right? 5 times 1/5. It will always be that numerator. So 1 times x plus what? Plus 20. Make sure you multiply by the 5. Okay, is this standard form? No, standard form, and again, look up here. It's given. Your x and your y should be together, and your constant should be by itself, okay? So in this setup, if I subtract 1x from both sides, I would get a -x plus 5y equals 20. Now, if you went the other way with it, you would have gotten x minus 5y equals -20, which is fine also. They're the same equation. Okay. Okay. Number 4 says write this in slope-intercept form. And again, if you look up here, you see, oh, slope-intercept form has y all by itself. So that's where I need to get. How do I get y by itself here? What do I do?
Add the 2.
I'm going to add the 2 later. What do you do first? Distribute first. Okay. So I'm going to do this, and I get y minus 2 equals 1/3 x plus 1/3 times 12 is 4. How do I get y by itself?
Plus 2.
Add the 2. Plus 2 plus 2. So y equals 1/3 x plus 6. And that is your slope-intercept form. Okay, get y by itself. Questions on that? Okay. Look at number 5. It says find the slope of y equals -3/2 x minus 5. What is the slope of that line? -3 over 2. Okay. Then it says, so that one, your slope is given. It's in slope-intercept form. Then it says find the slope of this one. That is in what form right now? Standard form. Standard form doesn't have a slope in it. So you have to rearrange to find your slope. How do we do that? What form are you going to put it into? slope-intercept, right? Which means solve for y, isolate your y. So if I'm trying to get y by itself, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add 2x to both sides. So I have 3y equals 2x plus 18. Do you have a slope right now? Not yet, right? You have to get y by itself. How do we get y by itself? Divide. So we're going to divide, and you have to divide everything by 3. So y equals 2/3 x plus 6. Okay? So here's our new equation for this equation. What is the slope of that line? 2/3. Okay, now look at your two things. Are they parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Perpendicular. Why are they perpendicular? Yes, they are opposite reciprocal slopes. Right, remember this means perpendicular, that upside down T. You may write the word if you would prefer to write the word, that's totally fine. Yeah.
So the opposites means
Change the sign, right? So if it's -3/2, the opposite would be a +3/2, right? So that makes it opposite. The reciprocal means flip it over, so then it becomes 2/3. So these two are opposite reciprocals. Yeah, so change the sign, flip it over. Any other questions on that one? Okay. Number 6, write the equation in point slope form for the line that goes through this point and is parallel to this line. So if we're in point slope form, we need what two things? Your point and your slope, right? So the point is here, x1, y1, that's your point. What is the slope if we're going to be parallel to this line? Not x. What is the slope of this line?
1/4.
1/4. If lines are parallel, what is true about their slopes?
They're the same.
They're the same. So my slope is going to be 1/4. So now you have a slope and you have a point, and you're just going to drop those into your point slope form. That's this guy, right? The one on the far right up top. So you're going to go y minus your y value, which is a -8, equals the slope 1/4 times x. Is this going to be plus or minus?
Plus.
Minus the x value, which is 3. So the best way to write that would be to make this positive. Y plus 8 equals 1/4 times x minus 3. Okay? Questions on that? So the name of the form that you guys are putting things into should be super helpful, right? Point slope has a point and a slope. Figure out what is the point, what is the slope, and drop them in. Okay? Yeah.
How come you don't have to solve all of them?
We did, because it said write it in point slope. So we're done, because we wrote it in point slope, right? Okay, look at 7 and 8 here. It says find the slope of the line perpendicular to this line. First of all, what is the slope of that line?
That line is -3/4.
-3/4.
Perpendicular, then it needs to be +4.
Right. So if we're saying perpendicular, this is opposite reciprocal. So the opposite reciprocal of a -3/4 is a positive, and flip it over, 4/3. Okay. Number 8 is a little tougher because they don't give you a slope to work with on this one. Gentlemen, you with me? Yeah? So if I want to be perpendicular to this line, I first have to find the slope of that line, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve for y. So -2y equals, I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. So -5x plus 20. And then I'm going to divide by -2 to get y by itself. But divide everything by -2. So I get y equals, what's -5 over -2? +5/2, okay? So 5/2 times x minus 10. So this is the line that we're starting with. And we want to be perpendicular to that. What is the slope of that line?
That is 5/2.
This one, the slope is 5/2. So perpendicular to that is a -2/5. Okay, opposite reciprocal. Okay, number 9, find the x and y intercepts. Do you remember cover-up method?
Yeah, 0.
You're going to set it up so that you're plugging in a 0 for x or you're plugging in a 0 for y to find your intercepts. So if I ignore this one right now, my equation is 6x equals 24. Right? That's cover-up method. We're just ignoring the other one because we're pretending we plugged in a 0 for y. What's your other equation that you're going to solve?
-8y.
Right, -8y equals 24. So now you solve both of those, divide by 6 and divide by 6, and you get x equals 4, okay? That's your x-intercept. X is 4. Your y-intercept, you're going to divide by -8, and y is -3. That's your y-intercept. Okay, now a lot of times people get here and then they give me weird answers from here. When I ask you to graph that, you graph each one separately. They are intercepts. So an x-intercept means where did I hit the x-axis? A y-intercept means where did I hit the y-axis? So if my x-intercept is 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's an x-intercept. If my y-intercept is -3, then on the y-axis, not from where you just landed with the 4, this is an intercept for the axis. So on the y-axis, you're going to go down 3. 1, 2, 3. How do you graph a line here? Just connect those 2 points. Okay, so your answer is that. Khalees, did you have a question? Okay. Okay, last thing. Y equals is what type of line? Remember, this is Vux, right? Horizontal. So y equals 4 is horizontal at 4. What is x equals going to be? Vertical at -1. So like that.